Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live. Talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynncullenshow@gmail.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
And a good morning to one and all. It is the 25th of February. And, good God. It continues. That is the devolution of that grand experiment called the United States of America. And it is astonishing to see the speed with which something that we had thought was so powerful and massive and probably forever could be brought down. And we all stand and watch. It's really something, isn't it? Really is. Let me bring my sister into this wake.
Yeah, while they're all screaming the enemy from within.
The enemy from within.
Like
you?
Yeah, like it's not them.
Yeah. Well, it's like living in a George Orwell, reality. Up is down, pieces, or it's just all. We've been here.
Yeah, watching Trump talk to Macron and tell Macron that they borrowed the money from the United States to pay their Ukrainian, share, and Macron's like tapping him on his thigh and going, Donald, that's not true.
Yeah.
That's not true either.
Macron should have picked up the Statue of Liberty on his way home.
Yeah, he should have.
They gave it to us, and we no longer should have her at our doorstep. She needs to go back. Unbelievable. Yeah. So,
set Republicans at town halls who are going, you weren't supposed to go after us. You were supposed to go after them. I mean, this is the clearest example of when, you think they're coming for, those people, but then they come for you.
Yeah.
Eventually they come for you. And here's the joke. They came for their own people first.
Well, the thing is, and it's fascinating to see these folks screaming at the people they voted for, and they are showing themselves to continue to be just selfish, awful.
Just selfish.
Awful people.
Right. I didn't care what you were going to do to other people, but you did it to me.
And that's what's brought them out. You did it to me. If you were causing this trouble, if you were screwing up the lives and taking the jobs of other people, that'd be fine with us. But
right, and the only ones that are unhappy with it are the ones who haven't lost their jobs.
That's right.
They still think the cost cutting makes sense.
Yeah. So, these angry mag rats are they're just again proving themselves to be people who don't pay much attention and who are only in it for themselves. They are not in any way concerned about what happens to the other. It is me, 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 me. And in as much as they can cause discomfort to the vile beings that they've put in elective office, that's fine and dandy with me.
Right.
Fine.
Right.
Fine. So
yeah, I think they should all be made as miserable as possible, and I wish I felt sorrier for them, but I don't know how much clearer it could have been.
I feel not at all sorry for them.
And the only thing I have decided is I'm just going to live diverse and equitable and inclusive life. So when I hire people to work for me, or I do business out in the real world, I don't have to do business with the one class that is now privileged.
No, true.
I can refuse. I can walk up to the woman bank teller or the person of any other culture teller and leave that white man standing there. And I'm sorry to all the white men. You can use other white men and help yourselves. But those of us who have been invited out of the meeting see absolutely no reason, at least I don't, to do further business with you, seeing that you don't want to do further business with me.
Well, here's
So
the thing.
everyone I hire from now on is going to be a woman or a person of color or a person from another country or something, but it ain't going to be a white man, and it ain't going to be a white man's business until white men decide that competition is actually good for them.
So here's the thing.
That's all.
I don't know if you're on board. In 4 days, or it's just 3 days now, the 28th.
The 28th.
There
which is
is
a Friday.
That this Friday, you do business with nobody. Nobody. And I know
Go
this
grocery
will.
shopping on Thursday. Wait
Yeah,
until
whatever.
Saturday. Don't go out to dinner. No movie. Don't buy anything on your TV. And I'm going to say it again. Turn off the card that you use to pay all those subscriptions so that none of them charge on that day. Or you will be buying things whether you want to or not.
Okay.
All you have to do is go to your bank, lock the card for the day, then you can unlock it, easy as can be.
Okay. In as much as we can make a statement, a lot of people who I keep talking to about this are very, it's not going to make any. That is an attitude that gets us nowhere. We have got to try. We have got to, and this is
try everything.
This is the easiest thing. It doesn't ask you to move. It doesn't ask you to. And I've seen that a lot of small business owners are going to close down that day. Again,
in solidarity.
In solidarity and understanding. So do not step foot in a store on Friday. Do not buy anything from, and then in as much as you can keep that up, sit on your money. It would be.
And there are a list of all of the stores that have declared themselves MAGA. And some of them are stores that I shop in, and I'm not going to shop in it. I mean, LL Bean, Anthropology. I mean, the stores that we like are coming out strong for MAGA. So fine, I don't need to wear that shit. We'll go someplace else.
That's right. And I have a list, and these are companies that have openly supported this essential overthrow of the American experiment. They have given money to Project 2025, okay? And I will not, in as much as I am capable, spend another cent in any of them. I'll give you some of it. I'm not gonna, it's huge.
The list is horrifyingly long, but
and when you hear a place that you think, but you don't have to.
No, there are alternatives.
Okay. Ace Hardware, Alamo Rental Cars, Anthropology, as Susan said, Arby's, Armor All, Ashley Furniture, AutoZone, Bacardi, Baskin and Robbins, Bosch and Loam, Bluebell, Brooks Shoes. Oh, Jesus, I hadn't seen them there. Those are all my shoes. Okay. Buffalo Wild Wings, Buick Cadillac, Carl's Jr., Charmin. There goes my toilet paper. Chevrolet.
Yeah. Oops.
Chiquita Brands, Cinnabon, Conair, Coors Beer, Cuisinart, Dairy Queen, Dean Foods, Dirt Devil, Dole Foods, Enterprise Rent-A-Car, Exxon, Folgers, Fruit of the Loom, Geico, GNC, Grey Goose, Hanes, Hardee's, Hobby Lobby, Hoover Vacuum, Jimmy Dean's. Can you take a few more?
Yeah, go.
LL Bean, Land O'Lakes. There goes my butter. In as much as you're hearing these, please, why give a cent to these sons of bitches ever again? Maidenform Underwear, Marshalls, McDonald's, Miller Beer, Molson Beer, Motorola, Napa Auto Parts, Norwegian Cruise Line, New York Yankees, good God, Omni Hotels, Oric Vacuums, Papa John's, Procter and Gamble. That's a lot of stuff. Shell Oil, Smuckers, Sunoco, Stanley Black & Decker Hardware, Popcorn Factory, Tito's Vodka, Tractor Supply, Turtle Wax, Vanity Fair Paper Products, Walmart, Wendy's, Wonder Bread, Wynn Resorts.
Thank God. The Wonder Bread I can deal with.
God Almighty.
Well, I'm going to bamboo toilet paper, I guess.
Yeah, they're all in it. They are all actively working against this country. And obviously, did I say Amazon? To enrich them, because it's convenient, is to be part of the people, part of what is tearing this apart. So it's as simple as that. It's not that simple, is it? It's hard, and it requires sacrifice.
Yeah, it means you can't walk in that store and buy that.
Yeah.
Even if you want it.
Right. So that's done. It's over. It's over. And if enough of us do it, they'll feel it. They'll feel it a bit. I just think Americans are so spoiled that very few are willing to do such a thing. We've been trapped, caught. We have become consumers. That is our value, and we work hard at that. I keep coming across this incredibly wonderful quote. I've always loved it, from H.L. Mencken. It was always brilliant. It was written well over 100 years ago, but boy, never was it more salient. Democracy is the theory that the common people know what they want, and they deserve to get it, good and hard.
That's rather brutal.
Isn't it? Isn't it?
Yes.
It was brutal. He wrote it over 100 years ago. It still holds totally true. And if you want to use your vote, your freedom to vote, in an unserious, unthinking, selfish way, well, sorry. Go for it and get the result, good and hard. The problem is a lot of the rest of us who didn't vote that way get it good and hard too. You know, if you look at all the stuff that they are, doing, it literally can paralyze you. It's
so awful you can't believe it.
Yeah.
And who's doing it and how they're doing it and how they can continue to do it when they now know that they don't know what they're doing. Right. And they're still doing it.
Well, they're too arrogant to acknowledge that. So that's, yeah. So I want to
19-year-olds shouldn't be in charge. So.
Yeah, I just want to share a few things. They are eliminating the office, totally eliminating the office that oversees America's recovery from disasters like hurricanes and wildfires. Now, it's not FEMA, no. It's the Office of Community Planning and Development, and that is the office that pays to rebuild people's homes and all kinds of other recovery efforts that let people, after these cataclysms, get back on their feet. They are going to be cutting the staff in that office by 84%. It will.
Well, it's just in time for the California wildfires.
Yeah, it also, though, that agency is still working very hard with the people in North Carolina after that astonishing hurricane.
Right.
And this will just stop it. It'll slow it to the point you can't take 84% of a staff and have it function. It ain't gonna function. It's incapable of function. That's one. You read that and you think, how could they think that that's a good idea? How could they think that's a good idea?
They don't care whether it's a good idea.
The cruelty.
They don't care whether they aren't even looking at what they're cutting.
It's just
they don't care. They've got a number they got to reach so that they can pay for the tax cuts for the billionaires.
Slash and burn. So cuts also.
They also really just want to break the government.
Yeah. Well, they're doing that.
And if anybody is curious about who the deep state is, well, it's the people in that office that Lynn was just talking about. It's the people that were arranging the contracts to buy the farmers' stuff. That's who this is the deep state that they're in there rooting out, you understand. It's your neighbor who's now out of a job, folks.
Yeah. So they are also decimating the program that was giving aid to the first responders on 9/11, who are those still alive, who are suffering from lots of illnesses because of the toxins that they ingested on that day.
And you don't think California is going to have the same thing?
Yeah, well, they will too.
They will too. It's a nature. These kind of buildings burning now, they're filled with stuff.
Yeah. Here's
one of the building materials.
Yeah. Here's one I particularly found interesting. It is they're targeting any government official whose work has been to flag foreign interference in our elections.
Well, yes, because that's damned inconvenient.
Because that interference is intended to help Trump. So, yeah, they totally are. They have reassigned dozens of officials working exactly on foreign interference in our elections at the FBI, and forced others out at the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, which is part of Homeland Security. They are focused on people who were not only combating false content online, but also working to broaden safeguards to protect elections from cyber attacks. They are dismantling those efforts. Says here.
And and they are dismantling anything that oversees anything that Iran is involved in.
That is right. Experts are alarmed that these cuts to foreign influence in our elections could leave us defenseless against covert foreign influence operations, and will definitely embolden foreign adversaries seeking to disrupt our government. Well, somebody said it's like shutting down it's like shutting down the weather service as a stage 6 hurricane approaches.
Well, I think they've done that too.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That is true. Okay.
It's not like it. They did it.
They did it. Okay. They are firing, absolutely decimating all of the people at the Food and Drug Administration who actually try to determine whether our food and our drugs are safe.
Aren't poisoning us.
Yes.
Or addicting us.
And those people, by the way, are PhDs. Those are people who have had to learn tons and tons of stuff to be able to make these decisions and to do the work. So they've been laying off science.
They're professionals in the field that are objectively able to
do the work,
decide whether this stuff is appropriate or not. Right.
So among the layoffs have been scientists who watch the ever-evolving pathogens out there, like bird flu and COVID. Teams that have worked specifically on that kind of thing have been hobbled. Teams that evaluate the safety of medical equipment, diabetes control, AI software programs, MRIs, images that can detect cancer beyond the human eye. These cuts they're just going after an extraordinary number of toxicologists, chemists, oncologists.
They're killing the world. they're just killing people. Oh, and don't forget that RFK Jr. has declared war on antidepressants, SRIs, and probably ADHD drugs.
Sure.
So a lot of kids are going to be in trouble, and a lot of human beings are going to be in trouble, and there's going to be things like more suicides. It's amazing to me. They are just walking around killing people.
Yeah, they are killing people.
And I mean, they've just begun.
Just begun killing people. So there's some of the people who've been let go are quoted in this article. This is from the New York Times. We're the ones that monitor, the death reports. We're the ones that are telling companies, hey, there's a pattern developing here. People are dying. They're ending up in hospitals because of your device. What have you changed something? What is that? These are the people that watch and then, determine whether something is in fact killing us and needs to be taken off the market. And this is the very reason that there is a Food and Drug Administration. It was created to protect the public. There's this one of the things, I'm in surgery I just had, robots were used. And this one guy who was an expert in biomechanics and robotics, 59-year-old man, a scientist, he was fired Saturday. He said, in fact, most of the people in his unit who review the safety of surgical robots were all fired. And robots increasingly are used in operating rooms across the country. And I don't know about you, but when I go into surgery, I like to think that the stuff that's being used has really been heavily vetted by people who are serious about their work and have done it for some time. This guy who got fired said the robotic devices have become so complex that his team's diverse expertise was critical to evaluating not just the safety of these tools, but also concerns about cyber security, because all of these tools can now be hacked. And then he said something which is at the core of so much of my just terror of what the result of this wholesale destruction is. He said, the institutional knowledge we are losing is just horrific.
That is always the bottom line on this stuff. The arrogance of these people that think that there's nothing to know. That if they don't know it, they can't imagine that it's ever important or that it needs to be known. They have no respect for knowledge. They don't believe in it. It gets in their way.
Yeah. It's really sad.
Unless they're sick. And I don't, listen, Lynn, I don't know why we're so worried, because the corporations, we all know that the corporations have our best interests at heart. I mean, why would a medical manufacturer want to rush anything into production, given that they charge $1 million, to use the thing? And it's just ridiculous to think that businessmen that run these things are thinking about the patient at the bottom line. Some of them are, and some of them aren't. I give you Elizabeth, what's her name, Theron, or whatever she is, the one with the medical devices that didn't work.
Yeah. Well,
she's in jail for fraud.
Yeah.
Today, she'd still be running the company.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about. You'd be getting blood tests saying that you had cancer or you didn't have cancer, and they wouldn't know whether they were right or not because the stuff didn't work and people were dying. That would still be going on.
I'm thinking too, in the military, they have pretty much wiped out any black person or woman in a position of power.
If those two don't sue,
it's beyond. It's just beyond belief.
To the Supreme Court,
and they've been replaced by people with nowhere near the amount of expertise.
Had to write a waiver because the Joint Chiefs guy is not qualified.
He's not qualified.
By
totally
the
not.
rules of the position.
That's right, not qualified. So, I was just looking at a piece about this woman they knocked off, the top Navy officer, who was a woman, Admiral Lisa Franchetti, and she is the first and I believe still only woman to have a permanent seat as a member of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Well, she ain't there anymore, so that's back to all male. This woman spent roughly...
But these two were clearly fired because she was a woman and he was black.
There's no doubt about
it. Reason.
That's right.
There's no doubt about that. So if these two don't take this to the Supreme Court, I want the Supreme Court to tell us
why they were fired.
I want to see how down low they'll go.
Just so you know, this woman, who they said was a DEI hire, she spent roughly half of her 40-year career at sea. She rose to command a destroyer, later a destroyer squadron, then 2 aircraft carrier strike groups, and then she was commanding all naval forces in Korea and the 6th Fleet in the Mediterranean. She became...
and we know how terribly that went.
Yeah. And she became the 33rd Chief of Naval Operations 2 years ago, making her the first woman on the Joint Chiefs. She was fired, and as was the Coast Guard Admiral, Linda Fagan, and booted out of her house. Told she had 3 days to get the hell out. This is... it is incomprehensible to me that anyone who can pretend they are a good human being could support this kind of mindless, cruel, ham-fisted destruction, not only of a system that has served us rather well, but of people's lives.
And just sending J.D. Vance to Europe, to reprimand those folks, it's just astonishing.
Yeah.
The chutzpah, how dare, the arrogance, it's just amazing to me.
Well,
I can't imagine what headspace these people are in that they think this is going to end well for them. And I'm so praying that we have military people in a dark room someplace trying to figure out a way out of this with other good Americans.
Well, I don't know. I don't know how they do, because what they're doing is they're hamstringing the is that hamstring? Is that the word? The military. They have pulled all of the people in the military, the judge advocate group, JAG officers. Those are the guys who stand. Those are like the inspector generals. Those are the guys who stand up and say, you can't do that. That is against the legal military code of justice. They are taking every one of them out, and everyone taken out will be replaced by somebody of the caliber of Dan Bongino over at FBI, a totally incompetent, burn the house down loyalist to Donald Trump. I believe the count now is he has put 20 Fox News employees in charge of really important, like the Pentagon, like the FBI, in charge of our government. I wanted to find something here.
I helped you out, but I was coughing.
That's okay. Oh, here's a little bit of good news that I just wanted to, in case you hadn't heard, Susan, it just made my day. The Philadelphia Eagles that won the Super Bowl.
Yes, I've heard of them.
Yeah. They, of course, were invited as winning.
Oh, they said no, yeah.
Yeah, they said, no, thanks. We don't want to We don't want to go into that.
It's the second time. It's the second time they've said
that is
nothing.
correct. And God bless them. But this
It's very hard. This is my sister looking for good news. It takes a while.
I know. I had
Long
something
silence.
here. I swear to God. Yeah. So I mean, really, I can't even remember now what I was looking for. They have made, and this is what you do if you're establishing a dictatorship. You get rid of all of the whistleblowers and the ethicists and anybody who was charged, whose job it was to make sure that laws were being followed. So that was one of the first things they did, and you know, he's also gutted all of the statutes through executive order that make it illegal for people in the government to be doing business with foreign entities, because you know, Trump, that's how he sees the job. Man, I got to do some business with Saudi Arabia. I got to do business. And so they've allowed for all of their billionaire buddies to just have at it. So he's totally gotten rid of the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act.
Well, you know.
Well, no, because hey man, you got to do business.
Yeah, you got. I mean, you know,
there is no longer.
That's not corruption. That's business.
Yeah, there is no longer a head of the government's ethics office. In fact, there is no government ethics office. As we know, all inspector generals from every cabinet level agency are gone. As I said, Hegseth has already fired the JAGs. The new head of the Joint Chiefs, totally lacking the skills required, has told the president, "I love you and I will kill for you." Yeah. They also shut down a database that was intended to track the misconduct of police all over the country. So that, because it used to be a cop, you know, a bad apple cop in one jurisdiction would just be let go and get a job, you know, in another police operation, because there was no national database saying who these bad guys are. Well, there is, or excuse me, there was. That now has been disbanded, because those are the kind of cops these guys want. Man, I don't, you know, even if we manage to stop this, the damage already done would take, I can't even begin to imagine how long to.
No, we're already at the point that it will take years to rebuild, because those people that have fired don't just go, okay, here I come back.
No, they don't. And other people are not inclined to want to go in to this field anymore. If you know what, I just read something so heartbreaking here in Pittsburgh. The University of Pittsburgh, I couldn't believe it when I saw it, has suspended its entire PhD program, so that young people, bright young people who thought they were coming to Pitt in who knows what, engineering, medical research, blah, 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 who'd been accepted have been told, stay where you are. We don't have the funds. They don't have the money to do these PhD programs. That's one rather large university absolutely stopping its PhD programs. Every one. And they're not going to be the only ones to do it. What happens to all of these?
Well, what happens when you need what happens is that medical science stops here. So if and what happens further is that there will be dismantling of medical science that we knew. So people will die. That's what's going to happen, and there aren't going to be any jobs because they're cutting off the funding and all the pipelines. This nation is really all about teamwork between governmental agencies and the public. And the government exists to help the public thrive. And they seem to have gotten it all wrong. But when you take away everything that is designed to help civic progress and improve each of our lives, well, then guess what happens? Each of our lives is going to go way downhill, some faster than others, but we're all going to suffer. And the only reason that I have hope, is because history tells us that these schmoes will be overthrown, and they're going to have probably not a pretty end. And it won't come soon enough, but it'll probably take, I don't know, history says,
I don't know,
somewhere between 1 and 2 generations.
Yeah. Well, you are. Yes, you are talking. Yes, what they've done in weeks will take generations to repair, because they're still there, and they're still busily doing their work. And you got to wonder about the security of those midterm elections. You've got to wonder. Susan, there's a special election, I'm sure you're fully aware of it, coming up in Wisconsin for the Supreme Court there. Mm-hmm. Hugely important. Elon Musk has put his gazillions into ensuring that a Republican takes that seat and pulls Wisconsin right back to where it was. The corruption of our government is so astonishing, and the danger of this one man is so mind-boggling. These are traitors. I make no mistake. All of these people now that are being elevated to these positions,
they're traitors.
Cash Patel, Bongino,
the bloodless coup
Trump,
they promised us.
These are traitors, and I definitely think they do deserve, if we ever get power again, to be treated as such.
No, this is a bloodless coup. What else does anybody think this is? The voters, the Congress has been disabled. The power of the purse, which is Congress, has been taken away.
The Republican Party is a party of traitors. They are traitors. Yeah. They have given away that which they took an oath to defend. Their constitutional responsibilities. They are cowards and traitors. David French wrote this: I grew up a Republican, Reagan Republican. I never thought I'd see the day when the President of the United States became the world's most prominent and effective Russian propagandist. And make no mistake, what's going on now with Trump and Putin is America is no longer part of, not the leader. Remember, what do we think of ourselves as? The leader of the free?
We were the leader of the free world. We're not Putin's puppet.
Guys,
we're Putin's puppet.
Yeah, okay, understand. We have abdicated that position quite full-throatedly. And we now, yes, have joined with the other autocrats in the world. And
right. We now know that it was Ukraine's fault that Russia invaded it.
That's correct. Here's a guy who's not known as a liberal, Stanford political science, Francis Fukuyama. He said last week, the United States under Donald Trump is not retreating into isolationism. It is actively joining the authoritarian camp, supporting right-wing authoritarians around the world. That is now what we do. We have sold out our allies in Europe. We no longer vote with the democracies of the world, as our vote yesterday at the United Nations showed. We vote with the bad guys. We now are part of the axis of evil. David French finishes with this: I cannot recall a moment in which a president broke free of the bounds of law and morality so quickly and comprehensively. In 1 month, Trump has endorsed Russian propaganda, switched sides in the Ukraine war, threatened our closest allies, attacked the constitutional order, and begun imposing a two-tiered system of justice. This state of affairs is unrecognizable to Americans. But Putin recognizes it. So does Xi in Beijing. In Trump, they can plainly see a version of themselves. He's doing their work for them. He is damaging American democracy, diminishing American power, and destroying American alliances with an energy and efficiency that must exceed their wildest dreams. Yeah. It is astonishing. And anyone who doesn't see that what we are watching is the success of January 6th. This is the success because we put that man who instigated that back in the White House, and he's finishing the job. He is destroying this wondrous experiment in democracy. And so, as H.L. Mencken said, and seemed to suggest, maybe democracy doesn't work because democracy gives power to the people, and the people might not be up to the job.
Well, the people weren't up to the job.
And Milton suggests another Mencken quote: nobody ever went broke underestimating the intelligence of the American electorate. Boy, oh boy.
I don't know. I'm going to drive to Wisconsin today. I just might drive off the road.
Don't drive off the road. Oh,
no,
yeah.
We got to stand and fight. We got to be as subversive, effectively subversive in every action of our life from now on until this is over. We have to think about everything we do Each of us has to do it. It will matter. It will help.
Yeah. We have to,
I'm not going down quietly. I don't want any of us to go down quietly.
Cannot go down quietly. And as I said, I think yesterday when I was screaming, this is no time to say I can't. I can't watch. I can't. Yeah. Okay. So don't watch. Act. We know enough already, right? You don't have to watch the daily horror, but that does not preclude or dismiss you from your responsibility to resist and to actively resist. If it means sitting on your wallet, not going to the places you have always gone to buy your stuff, never again going to McDonald's and Wendy's, never again going to Walmart, never again. I got news for you. Costco is wonderful. You can go there. There are places. You don't go to Home Depot, but you can go to Lowe's. Do not use your hard-earned money to enrich the traitors. It's inconceivable.
Yeah, it is. Each of us can do this. And if each of us does it, it will have an effect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I want to, before we...
And feel free to tell people why you're doing it. One of the things that makes change is discomfort. And if we can make the people who seem to be comfortable with this change uncomfortable with it, that would be helpful. Change does not happen when you are comfortable.
Or quiet.
But what I'm saying is, for those people that seem comfortable with all this, let's figure out ways to make it uncomfortable.
One thing I want to bring up, I did come across this disquieting fact that in the last election, the one that put Trump back into office, one of the demographics that was startlingly pro-Trump were men 18 years of age to 29. 18 to 29 are young men. That's all races, all everything, 18 to 29. They went to Trump by 14 points. Huge lead. So here's something I want to suggest. We cannot continue to ignore our young men. Our messaging, without a doubt, has made them feel as if we don't care about them much at all, that they are part of the problem. And people don't respond well to being told that there's something wrong with them, that they're the problem.
But you just started this whole conversation with the fact that they are part of the problem.
Well, but we can't, Susan, we have got to know what's going on and how we can. They are falling behind the girls in every way. We have helped the girls we have, because the girls were taking it on the chin for, well, millennia. And in our caring about the girls, we did forget the boys. And there has been an impact in that. They're lost. They're lost.
But I'm not sure I agree with you, because the fact is that the girls are outperforming the boys. Given the same chance to take the same courses and to go to the same schools,
Why?
the girls outperform the boys. I don't know what you're suggesting we do. Other,
well, what are you saying? The boys are not as capable? I mean, there's something wrong.
I don't know. I'm just, well, maybe they aren't competing at the same level. What do you want me to say?
Because I don't think that's, I think that sounds as crazy as girls can't compete at the same. I think culturally, the changes that have hit the males, and you see much older males reacting not well. I give you Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and the whole bunch of them.
Yeah, but let's just widen this a little bit. Let's look at what happened when fields opened up, and when women started being allowed to be lawyers. When I wasn't one of 7 women in a law school class of 300. And suddenly what happened is, it wasn't affirmative action. It was just that they were considering everybody with the same stuff. And as more women came, men stopped wanting to do it. The only reverse trend that I've seen in that regard is in nursing, where now men make up the bulk or an equal number of.
They're not the bulk,
of the
but
highest.
They're coming into nursing.
But they are.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're not
and
the bulk.
into PA, physician assisting, but in all other ways, as women started to do it, men stopped.
Well, Susan, what I'm saying is, we cannot afford to do to the boys what was done to the girls for so long. We have got to somehow figure out how to bring them back and make them feel value. That has nothing to do with the kind of brutish, physical, ridiculous definition of masculinity that the Cash Patels and Bonginos and Trump traffic in. We've just got to.
But what if that is precisely what attracts them?
Well, of course they find it attractive. Of course they do. We've got to be offering. We've got to be offering them an alternative.
In control of everybody else.
There's got to be an alternative, or we're going to. I mean, we can't afford to lose them.
Well, I agree, but I don't know.
And I also want to know who all the girls.
How are we parenting our boys?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I mean, that's the question. How are we still? How are we parenting our boys? I mean, I look at my grandson. I think he's doing just fine. I don't. So, and I think the parenting is just fine, but he's not going to grow up, being disdainful of women in my son's house.
No, nor did my son grow up in my house that way. And he's not much older than
these men are disdainful. These men knew that when they made a vote that they were taking, the vote they made, that they were risking the health of their sisters and their mothers and their future wives and their future daughters. And they didn't give a shit.
Well, I think the women of their generation would not find these men extremely attractive.
I don't know who would want to date them.
Well, I
Knowing
don't think
that,
they
my
are.
first
But
question
then
would
that
be,
just
that
feeds their anger.
then they become incels.
Incels.
And punish us further.
Well, you can see,
Yeah.
but this is a problem, and it doesn't get solved by us ignoring it. The fact no Republican has gotten that demographic like that in the last 50 years. So I'm just saying.
Yeah,
I think demonizing generalizations.
I don't mean to demonize them, but
men is not helpful. It's not helpful. All I'm saying.
No, it's not helpful. But it's still, if I were a young woman, I wouldn't date someone that had voted for Trump.
No, well, nor would I.
And I'm not saying that there aren't plenty of wonderful men out there. I know there are. I love a lot of them myself. I don't understand a whole group deciding that they're willing to hurt other people just because.
Well, we got to remember that they're living in a different America, and they're saddled with debt, and they don't see the jobs that they want. Things aren't great for them, and they're living in these silos where they're fed a bunch of bull.
Yeah.
I don't know. So, okay, nothing we're going to solve at the moment.
No.
Well, okay. Well, Susan, when you're in the car on your way up to Green Bay, you think about that. And maybe you can solve it. Something to do.
Yeah. Yes, I think I'll probably turn my thoughts to other things.
Okay. All righty.
Right.
Well,
I met a nice couple from Pittsburgh this weekend. A very lovely couple.
Oh, that's nice.
Just saying hi to them in case they're listening.
Oh, okay. Well, hi, nice couple from Pittsburgh. All right, Suze. Hope to see you sometime. Okay.
Yeah, I hope to see you. We'll talk soon.
Okay. Bye. And okay, guys, that's it. I got a show tomorrow, and then Thursday, unfortunately, I'm back to the damn hospital. But yeah, then next week should be regular, I hope.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.